ward councillor for he also 26 councillor for several
wanted sympathy. Instead, he'd reassure us with his trademark optimism. Keep smiling, it'll be Christmas soon. That was Nick, always looking forward, not afraid to have uncomfortable conversations. What you saw is what you got from Nick, which was why he was respected, because you knew where you stood with him. Nick adored his family and grandchildren. They were his pride and joy, and he always spoke about them. And of course, he was an Everton fan, loyal through and through. It was who he was, loyal to his friends, loyal to his colleagues, loyal to his community. Nick knew a lot about his brief. Illness took over in the end, but he was the one that was always willing to show up, and my goodness, he did. He fell outside this full council on the day that I was elected as leader, but he showed up for me, and I will never forget that. In this position, I can handle many things, but losing a friend and a colleague like Nick is a sadness that's really hard to measure. Our Labour group's not going to be the same without his counsel, his humour and his steady presence and his forthright approach. And thank you, Nick, wherever you're watching us from today. Thank you for your service, your wisdom, your friendship. You taught us that no problem is too big, no day is too dark, and that a good joke can fix almost everything. Now, coming on to remembering Alan Dowson, the truth is that I was actually his consort in 2022, and many people would have thought, well, how is this uncanny combination of a young Asian woman? Lots of people would ask me, when did you meet him? Assuming that we were both married. It's an 87-year-old. But actually, during COVID, when everything felt uncertain and cruelly distant, my husband Asad stepped in to help Alan spend his precious final moments with his beloved wife Annie. In supporting him through that time, we formed a bond, one built on trust, compassion, and deep respect. And from that, Alan asked me to serve as his consort. And it was one of the greatest honour of my life. And he asked me by writing in the subject matter of the email, "Will you be my mayoress?" I literally nearly fell off my chair when he asked me that question. But he was more than a councillor. He was a giant of a man. He was a veteran, a nuclear test veteran, one of the brave men who carried the silent weight of service that too often went unrecognised, and he fought tirelessly alongside the lab rats, standing shoulder to shoulder with others who'd been impacted by the tests. I had the privilege of serving as his consort for a year, and he made every moment memorable. He gave me, Rachel Edwards, Rob Hill a really hard time about not wearing the mayoral frillies when the late Queen passed away, when he told the lot of us to just bugger off. Alan was also a man deeply rooted in his communities. His friends at the Palmerston Arms were more than just his pub buddies. They were his extended family. He loved them deeply and spoke of them often. And at the heart of everything Alan did was his passion about loneliness. He saw what many overlook, that isolation is one of the cruelest forms of suffering. He told me about wanting to speak about Annie's death and that people should approach those who are bereaved and lose loved ones openly and just ask them how they feel. Today, we pay tribute to a councillor, a comrade, a champion, and a friend. Alan lived his life in service to his country, to justice, to his community, and to the people that he loved. Alan, thank you for your humour, your courage, your stubbornness, and your heart. Rest well. You really have earned your peace. And remember, you have so many who loved you, and you were never alone. And Alan's funeral is going to take place on the 31st of January at the Bretton Crematorium. All are welcome. And after that, we will be having a reception here at St Martin House. So all are welcome to attend. Now, moving on to my formal announcements, Madam Mayor. I'd like to begin by saying a big thank you to our Acting Director of Legal and Governance and Monitoring Officer, Graham Kitchen, who sadly leaves the Council on Friday. I'm sure that members around the Chamber tonight will join me in wishing him the very best in his new role. He's been incredibly supportive to me on a personal level. Graham's expert support and guidance around some very complex matters for this Council has been so appreciated, always delivered in a calm and courteous way. I'd also like to highlight and celebrate in this forum the fantastic achievement of the Council in receiving a rating of good from the CQC. The 70% good rating is a significant improvement and means the adult social care delivery in Peterborough is meeting the statutory duties under the Care Act 2014, with strengths in leadership, partnership, safeguarding and digital transformation highlighted. I am so proud, as is Cabinet Member Neil Boyce, and I would like to place on record a huge thanks and a show of appreciation to our amazing staff and him in this area, and the good work towards this that started when I was Cabinet Member, but it's been completed under Councillor Neil Boyce's leadership, so a debt of thanks to him. In December, this council received the very best Christmas present from our government. Updated population data and funding formulas, which are a result of fair funding consultation, will benefit this council and our residents to the tune of millions of pounds every year. It will mean that we can now move forward on a more stable financial footing, putting money back into our reserves, which have reached a dangerously low position, and invest more in services, particularly where demand is the highest. It's important for members to know that challenges still do exist in the short term, particularly in the new financial year, which the reserves that we have are much lower than the ideal, and service demands are still remaining very high, but there is most definitely light at the end of the tunnel. Now, councils like ours have been crippled for more than a decade by swinging cuts, which has had a significant impact on the financial standing of the authority and, more fundamentally, the services that we are delivering to our residents. My hope is that we and other councils never experience a financial crisis of the kind that we have endured ever again. Last week, we welcomed Miata Fanbule, the MP and Parliamentary Under-Secretary for Housing, Communities and Local Government, for a tour of our city to hear about our exciting growth plans and our emerging Pride in Place work. So in that tour, we toured the £65 million station quarter, looked at that project, a visit to Anglia Ruskin's University Peterborough campus, and a stop-off in Paston to hear about the £20 million government investment in the area. There are exciting times ahead for this city as we work together collaboratively, cross-party, on a new vision for the city centre and make progress on other major projects. And it was a pleasure to share this with the Minister. On the same day, we welcomed Dame Christine Lenihan, the government strategic advisor for SEND to Braybrook Primary Academy in Alton Galtay, to see how the school is benefiting from the partnerships for the PINS programme, which is helping neurodiverse children to achieve better outcomes. It gives me great pleasure to let you know the Council has demonstrated its support for the Armed Forces community by revalidating its Gold Award in the Ministry of Defence Employer Recognition Scheme. The scheme acknowledges employers that provide exceptional support by going over and above their covenant pledges. And it's a big feather in our cap and testament to the hard work and dedication of many people. And finally, a poignant service will take place in Peterborough City Centre next week to mark Holocaust Memorial Day. All are welcome to the service at St John the Baptist Church on Thursday the 29th of January at 12 noon. It's also important that we commemorate Holocaust Memorial Day and remember the 6 million Jews killed in the Holocaust and the millions involved in genocide across the world, including the recent horrors that we're seeing in Gaza and Sudan. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Opposition group leaders, I have extended your time to 5 minutes to respond. Firstly, I invite Councillor Wayne Fitzgerald, group leader for the Conservatives.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We too in the Conservative group also wish to formally thank Councillor Nick Thorburn and Councillor Alan Dowson for their many years of service to this council. I'm sure they'll be missed by many who are present tonight as we lament their loss. I won't add on Councillor Kyome's note. She said it very eloquently about both those councillors. We would also like to say bon voyage to Graham Kitchen, and we wish you well in your future endeavours, Graham. And it's also great news that the council received a rating of good from the Care Quality Commission. Not that we've been rated before. So what I would say, they've always been good. In fact, nay, I say excellent team in our adult social care. What fantastic news also to hear that millions of pounds in additional funding will be coming to this council every year. We can't wait to see what the Labour administration will waste it on. Perhaps more new homes for refugees and migrants might be on that list. But we'll see. So we wait. We're also pleased to hear that our support for armed forces community continues, revalidating its Gold Award from the Ministry of Defence Employee Recognition Scheme. The Conservatives will always support and stand by our servicemen and women in the city. Turning now to matters that haven't been mentioned by Councillor Qayyum tonight, or as some resident remarked to me, the leader should now be known as Councillor Qayyum the Righteous, Councillor Qayyum the writer of wrongdoing, and Councillor Qayyum the doer of all good deeds. On several occasions recently, she's published on Facebook posts that talk about inheriting baggage from previous administrations and ongoing investigations, and that she will ensure that uncovering to the last letter will happen. We say fine, bring it on, and the Conservatives on this council, past and present, will cooperate. We've nothing to hide with any investigation, external or internal. And in fact, I recently asked the Chief Executive about one investigation in particular, following a recent Facebook post from the leader of the council, which is this one, featuring Alderman John Holditch and I, with a rather misleading headline regarding a £30,000 payment to Peterborough FM, which incidentally is nothing to do with me. For those that know, mine is PCR FM. And I'm sure at the time, they're two different things altogether, but I think a few people in
Point
here
of
and
order.
elsewhere...
And Councillor Qayyum.
Just wanted to ask clarity from the monitoring officer that where there are live police investigations, is it appropriate to make a comment on them according to...
Thank you. I don't think this chamber is a place to be discussing any
Excuse
form
me.
of criminal investigation that may or may not be ongoing.
I'm talking about an internal investigation, she said.
That was a general comment, Councillor Fitzgerald.
Okay,
It's
well,
not a criticism of your
I shall press on. I shall press on. I think a few people here and elsewhere have got things a little mixed up about the two different things. So let's be clear. One is one thing and one is another. Nothing to do with me or this council. Be assured, there is no fraud here. There's nothing to uncover, no criminal wrongdoing, and for people to suggest otherwise is an unfair slight on all past and present members of this council.
Excuse me, point of order.
Sorry if I've misunderstood, but have you extended the time to leaders' comments to pay tribute to the two councillors who have passed away, rather than just trying to make political points?
I'm still well within my time, Councillor, and I checked what I can talk about, and this is perfectly valid. Madam Mayor, if I may continue.
I did say you have got 5 minutes, but it was actually to do with
I've done that. I checked with the Executive Democratic Services, and I'm perfectly right to say what I'm saying. Okay, so can I just say, I'll be as quick as I can. So I'm sure that all transactions at the time were deemed lawful and passed by governance tests by the officers. Now, this may come as a surprise to many members, but it should also be noted, and particularly noted by former members of the Conservative group, that many of you are also being investigated over your part in past directorships in council and companies, whether wholly or jointly. These investigations about the decisions you took...
Point of order, excuse me. Point of order, Councillor Qayyum.
Point of information, I again would like to ask the monitoring officer where there are ongoing live police investigations in full council.
These are not
in
police
full council. We don't know that though. We're not privy to the information.
I do.
I'm sorry, but I feel it's inappropriate for us to be commenting on live police investigations that have the ability to bring in, to actually be contempt of court. I don't have clarity on those cases as the leader. I'm not sure where your source of information is.
My source of information...
Thank you, Councillor Qayyum.
Oh, are you still going?
My view on this is that Councillor Fitzgerald is referring to internal investigations. Where there is the possibility of overlap between anything internal that may cross into criminal, I would encourage all members to exert extreme restraint and caution, and therefore I would advise Councillor Fitzgerald to move on from the point he is currently or has been making.
Thank you. Oh, Councillor Fox.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Councillor Fitzgerald supposed to be talking about what the Mayor announced? She never mentioned any of that at all. So she's going off, he's going off track for whatever reasons, which I don't know. So what's the point? What is the point?
Okay, I think we need to stop with the numerous points of order. Can we just wait a moment? The time was extended on the basis that the leader's time was extended.
Thank you.
The purpose of the leader's extension was so that she could pay tribute to former colleagues, which Councillor Fitzgerald has also done. Whilst it was expected that the time limit was extended for that purpose, there is nothing technically that restricts Councillor Fitzgerald from using the time as he sees fit, as in accordance with the Constitution.
Thank you.
What point have you got, Councillor?
Yeah,
Levine?
thank you. Yeah, I just want to agree with the point that Graham's mentioned. Councillor Kayoum got 10 minutes. Councillor Fitzgerald
Councillor
got 5
Feek,
minutes.
if you've got a point of,
I am.
if you've got a point of order to make, please make it to me.
That is the point. And when I've come in today, I've been told I've only got 3 minutes, when another minute was potentially agreed.
You are
for
using
my
quite a bit of the
supplement.
council's time now,
So-
Councillor Feek. Thank you.
But you should specify things.
So,
Can you please sit down? Sit down.
So, Madam Mayor, if I may, I'm sure somebody paused my time after numerous interruptions, which is rude. I'm sorry that it's uncomfortable for the council
Councillor
members.
Fitzgerald, it actually stopped, so it started again now.
Yeah, I'm sorry if members feel uncomfortable, but the leader of the council can't make statements and pin posts without getting some action. And I'm not talking about police investigations, whether there are or aren't any. The point is I'm talking about, as the monitoring officer rightly says, there are internal investigations going on, and I know for a fact. And there are members of this council under investigation for their past roles in companies associated with the council. And we, the point is I'm saying, will support those investigations like we all will. That's all I'm saying. I'm just making a point that those things are going on, particularly in the Peterborough Investment Partnership, OP, Empower and many others. And this is not new. The Chief Executive and I discussed this from day one when I was the leader of the council. This is not new. If anything, everything that the leader of the council said, uncovered to the last letter. Crack on, investigate away. What I will also say is that the Section 5 report that I mentioned in Cabinet yesterday was very disturbing to read in terms of the language, and I wanted to reassure the public that, again, there is no wrongdoing here. Nobody's had their hand in the cookie jar. It's just an unfortunate series of events. The people that have been paid the money properly. They may have been paid it unlawfully, but they provided the services for it. And I'm glad that administration or officers have taken account of that and put things in place to make sure it doesn't happen again. What the leader of the council will come to recognise and realise in time as I did, being the leader is not a popularity contest. And that as leader, not everyone will like you. And everyone
Councillor
will not always
Fitzgerald,
agree
your
with you.
5 minutes is up.
I'm sorry, Mayor, I've just got 2 lines. Sometimes you make mistakes and you can be wrong. All you receive in return is constant criticism, both personally and professionally, from the public and elected members. And bluntly, you just have to put up with it. Who would be a councillor? A question I constantly ask myself.
Thank you. Finally, I invite Councillor Heather Skipstead, Group Leader for the Greens, and I've extended the time to 5 minutes for you to respond. Thank you.
You might be glad to know I won't use 5 minutes. The Green Group would also like to thank Graham Kitchen for his services as Acting Director of Legal and Governance. I have found Graham to be very approachable, professional and available whenever I needed any advice on legal matters. We wish him all the very best as he moves on to another post. It is great news that adult social care in Peterborough has received a good rating from the Care Quality Commission. This is such a vital and ever-growing area, so we need to be continuing to provide the best care possible. It's also very good news that Peterborough will be receiving its fair share of the fairer funding, something that's been owing to us for many years. We have many challenges in Peterborough, areas of high deprivation, as can be seen by the Pride in Place funding. So it's only right and fair that this is recognised by central government and can put us on a better financial footing going forwards. Local government needs to be fully supported by national government when there are so many local challenges. But this has not always been the case, and it is welcomed, and we hope that investment in public services will continue to be prioritised, particularly the National Health Service. I would now like to say a few words about the passing of our 2 local councillors, Nick Thorburn and Alan Dowson, who were both hard-working and active local councillors in the same ward. Nick was particularly active at the local community centre, The Grove. Our thoughts are with their families and friends as they mourn their loss, and may they both rest in peace. I got to know Alan Dowson particularly well over the past decade, initially as a fellow Labour councillor in the same branch, but we continue to share many of the same values after I joined the Greens and were involved in similar projects beyond this time. He served as a local councillor for 55 years and in Fletton and Woodstone for 10 years. And Alan was a staunch socialist and would always support the rights of the oppressed. His steadfast causes were for the people of Palestine and for the campaign for nuclear disarmament, as he believed in a world free of nuclear weapons. His activism extended to the Quaker movement, where he found spiritual solidarity and the values of simplicity, integrity, and peace. I remember that during his time as mayor, he chose a Quaker to take the prayer session before full council, which was in this case a time of quiet reflection in accordance with Quaker values. I really appreciated this different approach. During his time on Christmas Island in the late 50s, he witnessed nuclear testing, which later had a devastating impact on many lives, including his own. This experience drove his passionate anti-nuclear stance and fight for a world of peace. Alan was also devoted to his local community and had many projects, including a herb garden for local residents and the recent planting of a mini forest. He took his role as mayor very seriously. His leadership helped to improve the lives of those around him. He always had an interesting, often quite quirky comment to make about local events, and I think we will all miss Alan's presence in the chamber. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Agenda item 6, questions for members of the public. There have been 2 questions submitted by members of the public to this meeting. The Council's standing orders allow 30 minutes to consider these questions. Any questions that cannot be answered during this period will be dealt with by a written answer. Question 1. Mr. Storey, would you like to ask your question in relation to regeneration and infrastructure investment in Warrington? You have 3 minutes. Sorry, Mr. Storey's not here, so his question will be answered in writing. Question 2 is for Mr. Storey also, so that the same will happen with that. Agenda item 7, petitions. As no petitions have been presented to this meeting. Sorry, what? Do I have to read them out? Excuse me a moment. Agenda item 7, petition. Sorry about that. As no petitions have been presented to this meeting by members of the public or members of this council, I will move on to item 8. Agenda item 8, questions on notice. There have been 6 questions submitted by members to this meeting. All questions have been published on the Council's website and will be taken as read. The Council's standing orders allow 30 minutes to consider these questions. Any questions that cannot be answered during this period will be dealt with by a written answer. Question 1. Councillor Ellis, would you like to respond to the question from Councillor Allen in relation to claims from the public in relation to pothole damage to vehicles? You have 3 minutes to do so.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Allen, for your question. There have been no payments made by Peterborough City Council to motorists in respect of damage to vehicles caused by potholes over the past 12-month period. The law relevant to such claims is the Highways Act 1980, which sets out the Council's legal duty to maintain the highway. Section 58 of the Act states that so long as reasonable care has been taken to keep the highway safe for traffic, the authority has a defence to claims arising through damage caused by the highway being out of repair. Taking reasonable care means carrying out regular inspections of the highway and undertaking repairs when defects are found. Potholes can develop very quickly, and it would not be possible to repair them all as soon as they arise, so there will be occasions when motorists damage their vehicles on potholes. But this does not mean the council is liable for this damage. If a particular road has regular inspections carried out upon it and any defects found are repaired within a reasonable period, the council are not liable. We have a robust inspection and maintenance regime which is delivered through our contract with M Group. Peterborough's main focus is to try to prevent potholes through appropriate methods such as surface treatments and resurfacing through our annual planned capital programme of works. However, there will always be some potholes form, especially during the current cold weather. We maintain 930 kilometres of roads, which is a mammoth task, so we would encourage the public to report any potholes they see to us as soon as possible so that we can make the road surface safe.
Thank you. Councillor Allen, do you have a supplementary question? You have 1 minute to ask this.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Indeed, I do have a supplementary, and I thank Councillor Ellis for his comprehensive response to my question. Apparently, about 70% of vehicle owners who make claims are turned down, and according to data provided by local authorities, Peterborough is the worst offender, having not paid a single claim in the last 4 years. I realise we've got an award-winning highways authority, and praise be to the sterling efforts of the officers involved. Shropshire, incidentally, approved 74% of the claims it received. Bit of useless information for you there. But my question is, would you say that it's because all the claims we receive are spurious? Is that why we don't pay out? That we have an unusually adept legal team who field those inquiries for compensation? Or are we stonewalling away around the problem?
Thank you. Councillor Ellis, would you like to respond? You have 2 minutes to do so.
Thank you, Councillor Allen. I think I did actually answer your question in my original reply, but we do have a very robust inspection regime. Frequently, the M Group who deliver our highway services go out to inspect the roads, and it is much more about the actual being proactive rather than just reactive. So I would say to you, I've already answered your question to a certain extent, and that we are proactive at getting the roads fixed.
Thank you. Question 2. Councillor Jamil, would you like to respond to the question from Councillor Rafiq relating to local elections? You have 3 minutes to do so.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I certainly would. To date, the council has incurred costs of £33,000, which was outlined in the recent Cabinet report at the extraordinary meeting on Monday, 12th of January. The postal vote reapplication process currently being undertaken forms part of the Elections Act 2022 and is being undertaken by all authorities across the country, regardless of whether they have elections scheduled or not.
Thank you. Councillor Rafiq, do you have a supplementary question? You have 1 minute to ask this.
No surprise that I do have one. So bearing in mind £33,000 has already been spent, and this would have come off the total amount had these this May's elections gone ahead. So if the leader, Councillor Shabina Qayyum, hadn't already sent her recommendation last week to the Minister to postpone this May's elections, they could have gone ahead. Is that correct?
Sorry, can you clarify the question, please?
So basically, just to keep it very, very simple, £33,000 of Peterborough's residents' council tax money has gone towards the elections. This would have come off the final amount had the elections gone ahead. Now, last week, the leader, Councillor Shabina Qayyum, sent her letter to the Minister to postpone this May's elections. So basically what I'm saying is, if the council or if the leader wanted to put a recommendation in for the elections to go ahead, could they have gone ahead? Just a simple yes or no.
Councillor Jamil?
Yes, Madam, I'd like to answer that. And I'm going to start by, I'm glad the Conservative councillor is now looking at value for money, seeing that his party have almost bankrupted us over the last 24 years in power, where we're £500,000 in debt. So £33,000 he's worried about, over £500,000. However, what we've done would have had to have been undertaken whether we've had elections or not. It's for people who have filled in forms that they'd like postal votes. So the short answer to him is that work would have been done anyway. Thank you.
Thank you. Question 3. Councillor Kayam, would you like to respond to the question from Councillor Allen in relation to funding for better youth spaces? You have 3 minutes to do so.
Yeah, this actually should be responded by my Cabinet Member for Children, so I've asked her and she's happy for me to respond. So unfortunately, Peterborough City Council was not one of the eligible authorities as set up by the Department of Culture, Media and Sport, which could apply for this funding. In addition, the fund is now closed to applications, unfortunately, Councillor Allen. However, I can report that the Council has been successful in securing funds through the Government's Youth Local Transformation Pilot, and more than £700,000 has been secured for our city to develop infrastructure and provide support for the current youth sector to enhance and improve the youth offer for all young people in our city.
Thank you. Councillor Allen, do you have a supplementary question? You have 1 minute to ask this.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's a pity we missed the deadline for the big chunk of money, but the strategy out there also promises funding of 15 million to recruit and train youth workers and volunteers, and there's a 4-year programme in place to do so. Can I ask whether officers intend to look at this most essential ingredient for youth provision and ensure our city is at the head of the queue and will indeed apply in good time to meet that deadline?
Thank you, Councillor Kane. Would you like to respond? You have 2 minutes to do so.
Yes, I would, and I always end my responses to your wonderful questions, Councillor Anna. I genuinely do appreciate you questioning me on matters pertaining to departments in the council. And what I will say is that watch this space. I like using that term a lot. We are already exploring options for a youth zone in the city in which we will definitely take advantage of some of the funding offers that come from government, but actually notwithstanding the millions of pounds that the government has already invested in when the previous government had decimated youth services in the country and in this city.
Thank you. Question 4. Councillor Cairn, would you like to respond to the question from Councillor John Fox in relation to flags? You have 3 minutes to do so.
Thank you very much, Councillor Fox. This again was my Cabinet Member for Communities, but I'm pleased to respond to it. So we're aware that putting up of the flags has been mainly promoted due to a sense of patriotism rather than to create division. Peterborough is home to many diverse communities, and nobody should be made to feel unsafe or face racism under the symbolism of the flag. The Council's current position is that generally we will not be removing any of the flags unless there are clear health and safety risks to the public. But that having said, where flags are significantly damaged or worn, or where it's thought that they may fall, officers will endeavour to have them removed as swiftly as possible. We have to offer that respect to our flag. And if members and residents identify any in this category, we would ask them to report these via Fix My Street, which would also be used to report any health and safety concerns or active vandalism, such as painting flags on the roundabouts or crossings. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Fox, do you have a supplementary question? You have 1 minute to ask this.
Yes, I do, Madam Mayor. With your indulgence, I'd like to make a small statement before I ask my question. I served in the Royal Navy from 1966 until 1977, so I therefore have the utmost respect and honour for all our service personnel who have stood under our nation's flag prepared to fight for democracy and freedom, past and present. I also have nothing but a deep and utter respect for our nation's flag, and I would love to see it flown from every public building and every home. What I personally find completely unpatriotic is when I see our nation's flag tied to lampposts with cable ties whilst not being maintained, cleaned or replaced when necessary, especially if it is torn, dirty, flying upside down or flying from only one grommet. Flying our national flag in such a disrespectful manner is considered unpatriotic because the flag is a potent symbol of our nation's identity, history, values, and the sacrifices of its people. My question is simple. When is this going to happen? And in my humble opinion, those who say they are truly patriotic should also be prepared to pay the bill for the maintenance, cleaning, or replacement of these flags, not the taxpayers of this city.
Thank you. Councillor Cairn, would you like to respond? You have 2 minutes to do so.
Well, Councillor Fox, I think that I couldn't have put it better myself. I think that you've emphasised two really relevant elements here. Number one, that of patriotism, taking pride in the flag, but also respecting and honouring it as well. And the fact that many of these flags that have been put up, if people have noticed, have been put up at half-mast, which actually commemorate the death of someone. It's not a way to treat our flag. And I think that it's really important that those that have put it up should also have the means to maintain it as well. Unfortunately, where they do become a hazard in terms of health and safety, we will have to take action where they are reported. But until then, I will keep you posted.
Thank you. Question 5. Councillor Zamir Ali, would you like to respond to the question from Councillor John Howard in relation to the government's asylum dispersal pilot? You have 3 minutes to do so.
Thank you. We are proud that Peterborough is a place of sanctuary for people that have had, which have been hated and persecuted and from war, building generations of inward migration. However, we recognise that it is important to make sure that our existing residents receive the services and support they deserve. Peterborough has already home a significant number of asylum seekers who have been moved here without our knowledge. It is for this reason that we responded to the government in regards to this scheme. That is, saying that there is no current proposal or works of the pilot or any agreement taking place. And I just want the leader of the Conservatives, also the CPCA mayor, to actually acknowledge that we are not doing this and stop spouting out stuff as well. It'll be very much appreciated.
Thank you. Councillor Howard, do you have a supplementary question? You have 1 minute to ask this.
Thank you, I do. And through you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Ali, thank you for making that clear. It is appreciated. You've answered the question. I mean, I would rather see you focusing all your energy in our own housing waiting list rather than entertaining discussions around these pilot schemes. But I'm hope that we're going to do that. And on that basis, how many people are currently waiting on the council's housing register? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ali, would you like to respond? You have 2 minutes to do so. Excuse me.
Sorry, a supplemental question needs to arise directly out of the original question or the reply and not introduce any new subject matter. So I'm afraid if you'd like to rephrase that, Councillor Howard, that would be permissible.
Councillor Ali, I'll tell you what, I'll ask you offline. I think that's fairer. So thank you.
Let me just, if I may, if you direct that to Councillor Hogg, because he does housing.
Councillor Hogg.
Yeah, I just want to draw the distinction between the pot of money that you're talking about. That doesn't come out of the housing for Peterborough citizens. This is dealt with by the community's portfolio holder. I do housing, and so it is a different pot of money altogether. Either we get the money to house these people, or we don't. It's not going to change any different. It's not going to any difference to our housing register.
Thank you. Question 6. Councillor Jamil, would you like to respond to the question from Councillor John Howard in relation to Pride in Place funding? You have 3 minutes to do so.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the question, Councillor Howard. I, like you and the resident of Peterborough, agree that Pride in Place funding is exciting news for the people of Paston, Gunthorpe, Dogsthorpe, Alton Malvern, Alton Golday. I also realise that many parts of the city were disappointed that they didn't get, but more funding may come later on. This Pride in Place programme is designed so that funding initially comes to the council as the accountable body and have the legal, as we have the legal and financial accountability to ensure funds are distributed effectively, compliantly and in line with public policies in relation to funds. However, the government's stated direction is that by year 3 of the programme, areas should be moving towards community-led delivery models. This means that, subject to MHCLG approval and strong governance being put in place, neighbourhood boards may eventually transition into or work through community organisations such as a community interest group or a local charity, who could then take on direct responsibility for delivery and potentially managing the funds. Until that point, the Council will hold the funding, ensuring compliance and financial oversight, while the boards lead to shaping priorities. The long-term aim is to place more control and potentially the funding directly into the hands of the community, which is how it should be. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Howard. Do you have a supplementary question? You have 1 minute to ask this.
Thank you. I do, through you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Jamil, for the answer. And I think it's good that you've clarified that the council is the accountable body. And my follow-up question in that context is, how can the MP hold his own consultation and feedback surgeries and the GDPR level of feeding that back to us as the council if we're the accountable body? I don't understand how those connect. Shouldn't the council be leading those consultations with the MP in support instead? Would that not be more appropriate in context of the data management? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jamil, would you like to respond? You have 2 minutes to do so.
Yeah, no problem. I've got that. The Council is actually leading on this. The MP is part of the MP for Peterborough. Therefore, he will ensure that money comes in and we will ensure the money is spent in the communities as required.
Thank you. Question 8D to the Combined Authority representatives. No questions have been submitted by members to this meeting. I will move on to the next item. Agenda item 9, Executive and Committee recommendations to Council. There are no recommendations to consider since the last meeting of the Council. Agenda item 10, questions on the executive decisions made since the last meeting. Item 10 is in relation to the record of executive decisions detailed on pages 17 to 24 of your agenda pack. The leader will introduce this item, and any questions will be answered by the leader unless he refers them to another member. I would remind councillors that they should ask questions on the decisions in the reports. All questions should be relevant to the decision itself. Should I feel that any preamble is unreasonably long, I will instruct councillors to ask their questions immediately. Can members please note that once I have moved on, questions will not be accepted from previous pages. Councillor Shabina Khan, would you please introduce the item?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'm more than happy to introduce the item and invite members to ask their questions on the agenda items.
Thank you. I will take each page in turn. Could members please refer to the title or reference number of the decision when asking a question? We start with page 17. No, 18. Councillor Day.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a friendly fact-finding question. On page 18, there's a contract sharing agreement with Strategic Blue, where the Cabinet resolved to authorise the variation to the Council's existing contract with Strategic Blue Services Limited for reasons set out in the report. Is there any further details around that at all, about the work that Strategic Blue does? Just wanted to find out a bit more about Strategic Blue Services and what they do for the Council. Thank you.
Councillor Coombe.
Thank you very much, Councillor Day, for your question. I will hand it over to my Finance Cabinet member, Councillor Jamil.
Thank you very much, Leader. Peterborough City Council has a contract with Strategic Blue for procuring services for the Amazon Web Services, and including our contact centre solution and our service infrastructure. So we're proposing a variation on that contract to enable another council to procure services via the same agreement. By doing so, both PCC and the other council could benefit from a 20% discount on the services that they offer.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions on page 18? 19? No? 20? 21? Councillor Howard?
If I may, through you, Madam Mayor, and it's just referenced the call-in that was made about the New England complex. Really good scrutiny, lots of time spent on it. And I just want to ask the Cabinet member responsible, a number of recommendations were made, which I think gives everyone a chance to get out of the situation we're in, which is a difficult situation where every party can be happy. And I'm just going to ask the Cabinet member, can you take those recommendations really seriously when that does come to Cabinet for consideration? Because I think we've got a good way out of it, but obviously your support is needed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Howard. I think it goes without saying that many of our decisions since we've come into administration are evidence of the fact that we have taken things seriously in line with governance and transparency, and we've got a good track record on that to demonstrate. So be in no doubt at all that we most certainly will be.
Thank you. Any more? 21? Sorry, I couldn't see all the Councillor Antunes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. With regards to the same item, I have yet to see the minutes. Again, it was a very thorough overview and scrutiny meeting. I haven't seen the records of that meeting or a transcript yet to see the outcome and the findings so that we can agree those collectively. Can we have an idea for when we can receive those and also the documents that have been requested for examination? Thank you.
Councillor Kane.
Thank you, Councillor Antunes. I most certainly will refer this matter to Democratic Services, who are responsible for scripting the minutes of the meeting, to get them out to you in a timely manner.
Thank you.
Sorry, officers will respond to the councillor in writing within 48 hours of the end of this meeting, answering his query. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more? 21? 22? 23? Councillor Ayres?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm looking at the joining cooperative at the bottom of page 23, please. And I just wanted to make sure what this Cooperative Councils Innovation Network is and who attends it and what's it all about, because I haven't heard of it before. And really, we also know that many of the members are Labour and cooperative members, and I'm just hoping that this isn't anything to do with a political party. So if somebody could just clarify for me what it's all about.
Councillor Kane.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ayres. I was more than expecting this question. I think it's very relevant for anybody to ask me this question. It's a credible group of the local government family. They are non-political, and both officers and members can actively participate in their activities, and I really would suggest that you have a look at them. So the work of the Cooperative Councils Innovation Network, there are many across the country, more than 100, and the work recognises the need to define a new model for local government, which is actually built on civic leadership, with councils working in equal partnership with local people and their communities, and it actually replaces the traditional models of top-down governance and service delivery by using that local leadership with things like our community assets. And one example I can cite with our previous leader, Councillor Dennis Jones, who has actively looked into a cooperative model of sustaining the Lido and keeping it open. I'd like to put on record my thanks to him, because he was indeed responsible for saving that heritage site, and I'm pleased to say that he's now chair of a board that is looking into a cooperative model. So in terms of explaining to you what a cooperative does, cooperatives are businesses that are owned and run by their members. Whether those members are customers, whether they're employees or residents, they have an equal say in what that business does and then share those profits. And as businesses, they're driven by values, not just profit. The cooperative share internationally agreed principles and act together to build a better world through cooperation. So people that invest in those values are ideally called cooperators. And that acknowledges that councils themselves are not registered as cooperatives, but the members develop principles that have grown from those values, and it's relevant within the context of local government. So the monies that you see or the money that you see will go towards an annual membership fee in which there are resources. I would encourage every member here to have a look at their websites known as the Cooperative Councils Innovation Network. If you have any questions about it, that is fine. If there are any further problems about us being a member of this, I'm more than happy to put my own, to minus from my own allowance so that we can allow this membership, because it's a good thing to have for our city, and to keep things like our libraries and heritage places, heritage centres and leisure centres viable. It's a business model. Thank you. And I'd just like to declare there's no pecuniary interest on my part as well.
Thank you. And lastly, 24. Councillor Antunes.
Thank you, Mayor. Page 24 references the deficit on council tax and business rates, the former 3.88 million, the latter 4.6, so over 8 million. I've made the point previously that one of the grounds for delaying the elections or cancelling the elections was cost. And 3% of that, simply recovering an additional 3% of that, would have funded the elections. Are there any plans to accelerate recovery of those funds? That's the question.
Thank you, Councillor Cairn. Would you like to respond?
Thank you very much, Councillor Antunes. I will hand it over to my Finance Cabinet member, Councillor Mohammed Jamil, to answer your question.
Thank you very much, Leader. Councillor Antunes, good question. We are, I think, one of those councils which has got the highest rate of collections of council tax, and we will go back and we would look and hold back at nothing to collect as much of that tax as in past years as well as this year's.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, members. Any more for 24? No, we'll carry on. Agenda item 11, questions on the combined authority decisions made since the last meeting. Item 11 is in relation to the record of combined authority decisions made since the last meeting. I refer to any questions to the relevant combined authority representative. Otherwise, the same rules will apply as at the previous item. Members, these decisions can be found in your agenda packs at pages 27 to 58. I will take each meeting in turn, and members please refer to the title of the decision when asking a question. The first one is Funding Committee, Councillor Mohammed Jamil, and these are pages 30 to 31 and 52 to 53.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's not a question for the Funding Committee. There's an error on page 27. The Combined Authority Board, the representative is Councillor Quayham, not myself. So that needs to be corrected.
We'll get that corrected. Thank you. Any more questions on that one? No. The next one is the Growth Committee, Councillor Mohammed Farouk, and it's pages 32 to 33. No. Next one is the Skills Committee, Councillor Katie Cole, pages 34 to 36. Councillor Linares.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to look at the FE cold spots, which is on page 35, and the resolution there. And it is apparent that there's some capital money going into cold spots. I'd like to know where they are and how much money is being expended in relation to those areas.
Thank you. Councillor Katie Cole.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, and thank you, Councillor Ayres, for your question. So, whilst I was at this meeting, as you said, there are cold spots. Rural areas seem to be the main hubs of where there are cold spots in terms of skills, with the CPCA working hard to make sure that all people in all communities throughout the combined authority are able to access upskilling and jobs, skills to support jobs moving forward. And I look forward to seeing the impact of this, and I will email you with, because they're going to be bringing it back to the Skills Committee in terms of impact, and I will email you with the results. So thank you.
Thank you. Any more? 34 to 36? No. Next one's Audit and Governance Committee. Councillor Imtiaz Ali, pages 37 to 40. Any questions? No. Next one is Overview and Scrutiny Committee. Councillors John Howard and Peter Hiller, pages 41 to 42. No. Next one is Transport Committee. Councillor Anne Gazelles, pages 43 to 45. No. Last one is Combined Authority Board, Councillor Kay, pages 46 to 50 and 54 to 55. Any questions on those? No. Bear with me a moment. Agenda item 12, motions on notice. We have received 2 motions on notice from councillors. Councillor Mark Ormston, would you like to move your motion as set out in the agenda?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to speak now, if I may. Lovely, thank you.
Certainly.
Thank you. Okay, so this has been a fast-moving topic. I started to draft this motion on the 6th of January. And yet the version in front of us today is version 4, and within 48 hours after my final submission there was yet another update, so it's slightly out of date once more. What we have witnessed in recent weeks is undoubtedly a disturbing trend. AI generation tools have been weaponised to take profile pictures and images of primarily women without their consent to create an image of the user in bikinis, string bikinis and micro bikinis. In the first week of 2026, over 25% of all image requests to Grok were for minimal attire edits. These types of edits and requests extended to minors as young as 3 years old. The use of this functionality went beyond the sexualization of images. I have witnessed some incredibly abhorrent content, including people's images being used to place them with tears running down their faces in concentration camp settings. In short, morally bankrupt users have been non-consensually taking users' images and asking AI generation tools in a matter of moments to turn those images into a creation of embarrassment, shame, hate, and a tool to harass and abuse primarily women. This is not just a global headline, it is a local danger. Peterborough's Women's Aid issued a warning that these tools are already being used to blackmail and harass teenagers in our own city. This motion is not anti-tech, it is pro-safety. We cannot simply ban platforms that play a major role in our modern society. Platforms such as X can be a powerful force for good. With this in mind, I wish to thank all the users who shared their experiences and called out the vile behaviour that they were subjected to in recent weeks. In particular, I wish to thank Jess Kane, who continued her own investigations, continues to call out bad actors, and share her experiences and insights with numerous media outlets. She was also kind enough to review this motion for me. Banning shouldn't be considered when so many other options exist. However, with this said, innovation cannot be an excuse for a lack of safeguarding. The UK government, Ofcom, and indeed X have all acted and taken steps in recent weeks, hence my need to complete so many revisions of this motion. And although it has been pleasing to see, for all of the steps taken to date, there are many more that need to be taken. It may have been X that were in the headlines, but this is all AI generation tools that we need robust policy frameworks and protections in place for. It is true that certain acts have been passed in an attempt to tackle this issue, but they are not yet in force, leaving a dangerous enforcement gap. I urge you all here to support this motion to protect the dignity and safety of all users online. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sarah Hillier, will you second the motion and either speak now or reserve your right to speak later in the debate?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, I would second the motion and reserve my right to speak.
Thank you. Does any member wish to debate the motion? Councillor Cahill?
Yeah, I'd just like to say a few words actually in favour of the motion. It's a comprehensive motion. But one of the things that I'd really like to point out to for all of us here are the dangers of social media and the ability to ruin somebody's life through AI. These are areas that we're not really well conversant with, and we know that a lot of this has gone on unregulated. Social media itself is an unregulated platform across the board. It affects primarily a lot of young people throughout the country, and I'm really glad to see that the government has also been taking steps in trying to address this and have a zero tolerance approach to it. So actually, in the motion, it does ask myself to write to the government. It's going to be a pleasure to do so, and I really hope that some tangible change comes out of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more speakers? No. Councillor Sarah Hillier, would you like to exercise your right to speak as seconder of the motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm supporting this motion because the Council needs to take this matter seriously to ensure that we remain alert about the ways in which developing technologies can create significant safeguarding threats, it is our duty to monitor and mitigate. The recent controversies regarding inappropriate and harmful content generation clearly highlight the risk involved with allowing tech companies to introduce potentially dangerous applications without proper safeguards in place. There are also significant privacy implications with Grok and other digital applications, which affect all of us due to its deep integration with user data on X, such as the potential exposure of personal conversations, as well as unsolicited generation of non-consensual, sexualized or offensive imagery. We need to be aware that X uses public posts and Grok-generated images to train and fine-tune its AI models. In August 2025, it was reported that hundreds of thousands of user conversations with Grok were indexed by search engines like Google because they were shared via a link, creating a major privacy risk. It is right to recognise the huge social, creative and educational benefits of social media and emerging media platforms, but we have to balance that with effective and adaptive legislation to ensure that political leaders and regulatory bodies can act as effective gatekeepers to ensure that people, and especially vulnerable members of society such as children, are protected from harmful impact which non-consensual and malevolent use of these new technologies can generate and distribute at the touch of a button. As well as raising these concerns with government, I would also strongly urge the Council to consider what can be done in our local communities to ensure that we are doing what we can to support the implementation and sharing of safe practices. As the Byron report recommended a decade ago when it looked at the impact of emerging digital technologies, we need to educate people to understand and manage the risks whilst ensuring that we have legislation in place to hold these tech giants to account where they have put profit ahead of potential harm. Taking a pragmatic approach with local groups, schools and colleges could play a significant role in mitigating the potential harm that Grok and similar applications can inflict on people. As an example, we could promote safe practices, urging people to abide by age classification and to refrain from sharing personal or confidential information in conversations, as Grok or X may store and utilise this data for their own commercial purposes. It is concerning to hear that these technologies are already being used to humiliate and harass women in our local communities, highlighting the need to take action as soon as possible. What is increasingly clear is that current safeguarding legislation is outdated and underpowered, so it is imperative that we petition the government to take strong action on our behalf. As such, I strongly urge the Council to support this motion.
Thank you. Councillor Ormiston, would you like to sum up on this motion?
No, and I thank Sarah Hillier, Councillor Hillier there for seconding the motion, and also thank the leader for her comments of support as well. Thank you all.
Thank you. Is the motion agreed, or shall we move to the vote? Agreed, thank you. Before we move to the next motion, I would like to invite Graham Kitchen, Monitoring Officer, to address the Council.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. Members, prior to the next motion being proposed, I think it's important to clarify, or rather to provide clarity to members and the public to avoid any confusion. The decision on how to respond to the government letter of the 18th of December 2025 was an executive decision. That decision was taken by Cabinet on the 12th of January 2026, was not subject to call-in, and was fully implemented by the leader, having sent a letter in response prior to the deadline of the 15th of January 2026. The decision on the Council's formal response to the government consultation thus cannot and will not be revisited. The formal response to the Minister's letter was not and is not a matter for full Council. The motion to be proposed this evening merely presents an opportunity for all members to debate the issue, and the vote on the motion, whilst being indicative of each individual member's view on the matter, is of no legal consequence whatsoever. Further, any letter sent as a result of the motion being passed would make clear that it is not the formal response of this Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Graham. Councillor Wayne Fitzgerald, would you like to move your motion as set out in the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I rise to see how long it'll take before I get interrupted, which will no doubt happen. It always does when I speak common sense. So while I take on board what the legal officer is saying, he's quite correct. But be clear, the letter sent by the Leader of the Council, in my view, is not the Council. The Council are the 58...
Sorry, Councillor Fitzgerald, could you put the motion first?
I'm going to. I was just addressing your comment first. It is not the view of 58 members. So the motion before Council is as laid out in the order papers before you tonight concerning the letter received by the Leader of the Council on the 18th of December in 2025 in relation to the potential postponement of the May 26 local elections in Peterborough. Now, regrettably, I've been forced to take this route in order to bring this matter to full Council to ensure public transparency regarding the recommendation from this Labour administration and its Labour leader, Councillor Qayyum. She is, in effect, recommending cancelling, postponing. It's the same thing, doesn't really matter, although I acknowledge that the final decision rests with the Minister. Now, how long was that? That was 1 minute 9 seconds.
Point of information. Just a point of accuracy. Point of accuracy. Point of accuracy, please. Point of accuracy, please. I respect the public, members of the public that are in the room. Councillor Fitzgerald, cancellation and postponement are not the same thing. I will evidence why, but thank you.
Thank you. Please carry on.
Well, the members of the public can make their own mind up on that, but I'll come to that. Call it what you like. Yeah, I think you've just heard the view of the public. Make no mistake, though, despite the claims they will make tonight, this is cancelling and not postponing, because these elections will not come back. In 2027, if there aren't any elections locally, it will be for the new unitary authority that is set to replace Peterborough City Council in May 2028.
Excuse me, what point have you got, Councillor Cahill?
No, I'm sorry.
Here we go again.
Please calm down. I have put in my letter that as a matter of accuracy, again, a point of accuracy, I've stipulated in my letter that we have every intention of going into elections in 2027.
Thank you. Can I please have quiet in the audience, please? You've got one warning, please. Thank you.
Excuse me, the Mayor has requested quiet in the audience, please. Have some respect, please.
Please, team, don't start my time again. I will just also say, members of the audience, please listen. It is disrespectful, but clap by all means or boo whenever you like, but try not to shout out. It's been widely misreported via various local media sources that this council and its 58 members all voted to cancel or postpone the elections. That is not true. I did not, and neither did any of my Conservative colleagues, along with other councillors in this chamber. Let me remind people, the Secretary of State...
Can you sit down, please? Thank you.
Let me remind you, the Secretary of State, Alison McGowan, the Minister of State for Local Government and Homelessness, wrote to the Council in December seeking views on the matter, and she is determined that the Leader of the Council, Councillor Kayoum, must solely reply, which I presume she has done. Just a couple of weeks ago, in this very room where members at a meeting were briefed on this suggestion by the Leader and senior officers, I invited the Leader of the Council to poll all the elected members to gauge their views and include those views in her reply to Alison McGovern, which was due back last week. She refused to do this. After consulting with her Labour group members and both Labour MPs, Andrew Pakes and Sam Carling, although what they've got to do with the matter I don't know, can I add, this motion tonight is not about the result, which we expect to lose. It's about how the public should know about open and transparency in democratic decisions. So you know, and many of you here tonight, you can see for yourself who wants to cancel, postpone, whatever you want to call it, elections, and who does not, because there will be a vote on this. There will be differing views across this chamber, and I accept that. But I don't buy the argument being put forward by the Labour administration about the work of local government reform and capacity issues as being the reason not to have elections. Elsewhere in the county, other local authorities, such as Huntingdon, Cambridge City and South Cambs, are all going ahead with elections, and they face the same or similar issues and challenges as we do here in Peterborough regarding this matter. I expect many speakers to follow me to try and justify the recommendation not to have local elections. Sorry, we don't agree. And neither do the public, in our view. Interestingly, I do agree and support the Reform Party's view on this in seeking a judicial review to overturn this nonsense in the court. And I await the outcome of that with interest. Which brings me on to the meat of the matter. Whatever the result of tonight is, I propose that members request that the Chief Executive send a letter to the Minister making her aware that our members do not support any decision by government to postpone the May 26 local elections. This letter should set out the results of the vote on this motion and be sent the day after this meeting takes place. 30 seconds to spare, despite how many interruptions, because they don't like the truth. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Mark Ormston, will you second the motion and either speak now or reserve your right to speak later in the debate?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll speak now. I'm confident that everyone in this room and watching online knows my position. However, for the avoidance of doubt, I have attended and engaged in every single LGR meeting I've been invited to, potentially with too much enthusiasm at times, much to some people's amusement. I am not anti-LGR. This has to happen, and I believe that opportunities exist for the new authority and the residents under its care. I attended the extraordinary cabinet meeting where I expressed my concerns about the lack of information on Peterborough's LGR plans currently available and the current timeframes for Peterborough. The response was that I raised good questions, but they have all the answers. I subsequently thanked the leader for listening to my concerns. At that meeting, the voting cabinet members present were all in agreement with the view to postpone Peterborough City Council's 2026 local elections for the following reasons. Concerns over capacity for LGR, now as the golden period to complete LGR groundwork, the financial cost of elections, a heightened risk to life or death services, and Peterborough's unique position due to the numerous internal investigations and audits taking place. I sincerely appreciate each of those concerns. It is because of those very reasons that my concerns lie with the current timeframes for Peterborough. I strongly believe, for all the reasons outlined, that the current timetable is already at considerable risk. LGR is the extra work here, not the elections. I feel that LGR timetable should and will have to change. However, with this said, this was not the question asked. The view of the Cabinet has been given. The decision now lies with the relevant Secretary of State, subject to recent legal movements. This motion does not change any of that, nor does it ask us to scrutinise the Cabinet's view given. But what this motion does do is give the Secretary of State and the residents of this city a more complete and transparent picture of what each and every elected member in this room thinks. For me, that is what this motion is about, and on that basis, I'm happy to second it. Thank you.
Thank you. Does any member wish to debate the motion? Mr. Cahill?
Yes, not straight in, Councillor Fitzgerald. What I wanted to say was, is it okay if you can put me right at the end before Councillor Fitzgerald sums up, please? Thank you.
Thank you. Who was it, Councillor? Councillor Day. Oh, Councillor Day, sorry. Want to speak?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So it's the view of the Greens that councillors are elected to serve a 4-year term, and the Peterborough Green Party believe that it is the democratic right of the public to have a vote on who they wish to lead them through local government reorganisation. We wish to make our points respectfully without any personal attacks. For over a year now, our council has known that elections and reorganisations were coming soon. The government has known this for even longer. As the Secretary of State has not made a boundary decision or provided a timetable for reorganisation, the benefits of an election cancellation is unknown. We are currently running under a third system, and we believe we should continue to run under that system until it has been formally replaced. The fact that no timetable has been provided is worrying for us. The administration in Mid-Suffolk cancelled elections last year in 2025, citing reorganisation as the reason, and they are now again cancelling them this year with reorganisation as the reason. We have no guarantees this won't happen in Peterborough, thus delaying the public's right to vote for an even longer period. The moral question is important here. The Labour government have given this coalition administration the opportunity to decide the length of their own term of office. I find that incredibly shocking. Democracy is precious. We must defend democracy and the importance of free and fair voting, whether we are leading the polls or falling in them, whether elections are difficult to organise or not. Elections are what set democracy apart from oppressive regimes and dictators. I set a very, very high bar for cancelling elections or postponing them. I can understand it if we were in the middle of a pandemic or in a state of war. This is the level of severity that requires the cancellation of elections, and we are nowhere near these extremes. I believe the current administration have been doing a good job, but I respectfully disagree. I will emphasise that respectfully with their decision on this. We know that Huntingdon, Cambridge and South Cambs will be going forward with elections, and we know in Huntingdon full council were allowed to decide that. The public, as council taxpayers, should be allowed their democratic right to vote, as planned in May 2026, and decide who they would like them to lead through reorganisation. The Labour government decided to plough forward with reorganisation, not the public. Therefore, it is unfair and undemocratic to deny the public of free and fair elections. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any more speakers? Councillor Hogg? Oh, sorry. Yes, sorry, Councillor Hogg.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. Let's be clear. This motion is merely a political instrument for the use in literature and social media posts. It has no relevance further than if the proposer wishes to write a letter to the Minister, I'm sure he can do so. There is no reason to put our Chief Exec into the awkward position of doing so for him. I know that the Conservative Party is still getting to grips with opposition, but given the same circumstances in the reverse, the proposer would be saying the same thing to me. You missed the boat, this has been mishandled, and this motion is a half-cocked scheme to claw something back. If you'd wish to bring this matter to full council and have a public vote on the merits of postponement of the election, you could have done so by requesting the extraordinary meeting of council when it was announced that it would be an all-members briefing session that had integration for the matter. That is how we handled the options for the local government review. Instead, you decided to have that meeting and then asked for the extraordinary council meeting with the constitution deadlines of 10 working days, meaning the meeting was after the decision had been taken. Members were given further chances to address Cabinet, and I doubt that you would have been so you would have given the same facility if it had been the other way round, again, if you'd been in administration. Back to the motion before us. The Liberal Democrat group have considered it at the group meeting, and we feel this letter will have no effect other than to be used in various leaflets and social media posts. We are not in the business of supporting the Conservatives' election machine, and as such, we will be voting against this motion to write a letter to the Minister. What we will do is to continue to support this administration in its efforts to deliver the correct outcome for local government reorganisation, while simultaneously tackling serious government issues dating back to the former Conservative administration. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Antunes.
Thank you, Mayor. For the record, I did vote against cancelling, one of 4 members who voted against cancelling these elections. I just want to run through a little bit of history here. I did have a long conversation with the leader about a number of issues. The grounds on which these elections are being cancelled were placed at cost and resources. I've already made comments. Sorry.
Point of order.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'm very sorry. Do you want to just turn your mic off? There we go. I'll do it. Sorry, you made a point earlier, Councillor Antunes, that you were one of 4 councillors to go against elections. That I don't think. Against voting. I think you're referring to the preferred authority was the vote you were referencing. I just didn't want any public to be confused by the vote that you were referencing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ormerson. I agree with that. My view is this is a public right, and I differ from the views of some members here. I don't think it is one for all 60 councillors to make. And in fact, early on, I spoke to the leader and suggested a poll should be made of the public. We are representatives of the public, and I don't believe it is right that we can take that constitutional right away from them. The grounds on which it was proposed to be cancelled was cost and resources. I've just highlighted that about 8 million in unrecovered council tax and business rates. 3% of that, roughly speaking, would cover the cost of the elections. In terms of resources, that tends to be democratic services, and these are limited to a finite amount of time during the election period. So I do feel those arguments are unwarranted. The public need to be clear as well. If the elections are held this year, these members will stay in position for the next 2 years, whether they stand for election in 27 or not. I do not believe it is the role of the current administration to, in effect, establish a fait accompli for the local government reorganisation and make decisions and put in place long-term contracts. I think that is for the new administration to be elected for in 2027. What we do need to do, I believe, is get our house in order. And as we've mentioned, there are a lot of issues to be tackled and clear the way for that new administration that will be elected in 2027. I go back ultimately to the point, we should not take this democratic opportunity away from the electorate. I have spoken widely in my ward, and I've been approached by many of the residents. And I feel that
Excuse me, Councillor Antunes, can you sum up?
I will do. I do feel ultimately I would support this motion here. We do need to put this back to the public, and I feel that the grounds on which it's been cancelled are not warranted. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dennis Jones.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In my view, a good councillor does 2 things. Listen and manage expectations. As councillors, we can't do everything, but we can listen and evaluate. As a leader, as those who have occupied that road will know, the evaluation of evidence becomes critical, be it on the supply side, taking advice from officers, or the demand side, speaking to residents about what is achievable. And if the news isn't good, the sooner we tell people, the less expectation is allowed to manifest. Being heavily engaged in LGR from last December, it was clear to me from early in the process that this year's elections should be postponed. Reorganising local government and setting up a new authority is no mean feat, and it has placed demands on everyone involved in addition to the day job. I personally believe that solid foundations must be laid if local government reorganisation is to be sustainable for as long as the last one, over 50 years. And our legacy as elected members is about what we leave behind. A quote I often use is to paraphrase the poet W.B. Yeats: "I will judge you by the quality of the people you leave behind." I could see that rushing into elections, however well-intentioned, was like watching a drunk carry a tray of drinks across the dance floor. You hope everything gets to the destination intact, but you can't help but watch in morbid fascination, knowing from experience they won't. Officers and fellow authority leaders are likely to be aware that as leader, I would have cancelled this May elections months ago. And I am disappointed that the government didn't see this sooner themselves and began to manage our expectations much earlier and give officers, the supply side, the time and the resources needed to lay those solid foundations. I also believe that it would have given the political parties more time to ensure that not only are the administrations of the current authorities continued to be held to account, but also enable all parties and councillors to prepare how they plan to take part and potentially run the new authority for the benefit of local council taxpayers in the new authority, whatever they may look like, ideally for years to come. This should have been a government decision taken months ago, not left to local politicians who now find themselves open to conjecture and criticism as a result. I'll leave you with one of my favourite political quotes. A politician thinks about the next election. A statesman thinks about the next generation. I'm not claiming to be a statesman. I am thinking about creating a sustainable local government that will not only be fit for purpose on inception, but also sustainable long after we, certainly me, are gone. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Rafiq.
Thank you, Madam Mayoress. I just want to clarify something really quickly with the legal officer. We've got such a good turnout from the public today, so I just want to make sure that they are able to nod their head, gesticulate. Is that within the Constitution?
Thank you, Councillor Rafiq. I would suggest that nodding one's head would probably not be deemed a disruption. However, I would say continual booing may well be, although ultimately it is a matter for the Mayor's discretion as to what does or does not create a disturbance in the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's just that last Monday at the Cabinet meeting, I got pulled up for nodding my head by the leader, so I just wanted to clarify that on public record. Thank you so much. Now, I'm going to just... So, as I've already previously mentioned, residents in Peterborough are absolutely incandescent with rage that these local elections are being cancelled, and these residents are going to lose their rights to vote. Incandescent is my new favourite word, as is sequence someone else's. I have received so many messages, phone calls and emails from residents from across the city, many of which I've never heard of before, and I've even had a few messages from Peterborough City Council staff themselves. It's been overwhelming, and I'm very proud that as a new councillor of just 18 months, not 2 years, that I've been so vocal and passionate on this subject of democracy, when many have been silent, including our very own Andrew Pakes MP, who I'm still waiting on an email reply from, and I'm sure many residents here are also waiting on replies, and that's what I've been told from my constituents in Paston and Walton. It's quite incredible, actually. Since the members of the public have asked his views on the elections, he's gone radio silent. I've never seen him so active on social media, and all of a sudden, he's been able to fix many of the long-standing issues in Peterborough that have gone on for decades, such as the drains with Anglian Water, parking, and one thing I do welcome is the swimming pool with 100 station gym. Let's hope the running machines don't have coin slots in them. Anything's possible under the Labour government. The Electoral Commission has said elections should go ahead as planned and that capacity issues are not an excuse for delays. This has been on the news yesterday. So why has the decision been made at the last possible minute, just 4 months away from this May's planned elections? Now, Councillor Kayoum, last Monday at the Cabinet meeting, I'm going to quote you on something. You mentioned, when I used to work in accident and emergency, we used to have managers on our backs asking us to ship out patients who are vulnerable, going into the community and say that we only have 4 hours on the watch and we don't have enough money to keep them on a bed. And would you like to sign here to say that you are responsible for the outcome of that patient should anything happen to them? Now, Councillor Kayoum, as a GP and a doctor, I assume you're a very intelligent lady.
Excuse me, your 3 minutes is up.
No,
Can
no,
you
so
sum
surely
up?
you would realise...
No, your 3 minutes is... Your 3 minutes is up. Will you sum up, please?
Surely you would realise that the National Health Service is different to the council taxpayers' money?
Let me give him a point of accuracy. He's really eager to find out. I'll answer him. Actually,
hold on a second, Councillor.
Your NHS
Councillor
is funded on
Kayoum,
taxpayers'
could you wait
money.
A moment, please?
Yep.
Thank you. Councillor Rafiq, could you please bring your statement to an end?
Now, apologies, I ran out of time there. I wasn't given any discretion, which I expected. Now, obviously, when you're in public office, it's very, very important to hold your hands up when you make a mistake. And I'm going to admit to everybody here on public record, I did make a mistake. I did say on a social media video that the Mayor, Judy Fox, is up for election when she's not. So I apologise for that. I have already sent an email previously, and the reason I got mistaken is because at the last cycle of elections in Warrington, it was John Fox and Sarah Hillier that got elected, but my apologies to you, Judy, Councillor Judy Fox. So I just want to put that on public record.
I just want to make a statement, just a little note to you. I will accept your apology, but the damage is already done because your statement about me was on social media all over that weekend. And I have faith in the residents of Warrington to know that it is not in my nature to take necessary actions against legal advice, given as I always will continue to put people before politics. Thank you.
And that's very honourable. Thank you. No problem.
Thank you. Oh, sorry.
I just want to add a point. I mean, if he wants to apologise to yourself, Mayor, I think as he should, then he should apologise to two of my members as well, our members here as well, because they were naming him for no reason and putting him into danger for just speculation. So, does he want to apologise?
That's not a point of order. No, hold on a second. Not a point of order. Councillor Rafiq's statement in the debate has ended, cannot speak again, so he doesn't have the opportunity to do that. Thank you.
Right, the next speaker is Councillor Wiggin.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to start by thanking Councillor Rafiq for pointing out some of the failures of the previous Conservative administrations that this new coalition administration has been able to get to work and start fixing. We've achieved a lot in a few months and we hope to continue more. Councillor Fitzgerald has said that the decision on postponing or cancelling elections has nothing to do with the MPs. But Councillor Rafiq is calling out Andrew Pakes on being silent. So which is it? It can't be both. Regardless, this motion is not about cancelling elections. This motion is pure party politics from Councillor Fitzgerald and the Conservative Party. As the monitoring officer set out at the start of the debate, this decision has already been made. Nothing we do in this motion will change that. Councillor Hogg has already set out the reasons the Liberal Democrat group will not be supporting this motion, and I would like to associate myself with his comments. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Next one is Councillor Allen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There's a lot of heat here tonight, and I would like to just acknowledge that Councillor Dennis Jones did throw some light on it. And I think that the government should have made this decision rather than bounce it to the local authority to go round the houses and not necessarily even feel the pulse, but to make a decision to pass to government, who will then indeed make the decision anyway. The motion is, of course, indicative. It's a political mechanism to see who has an opinion on this so that the public can be made aware. Now, listen, I do understand the reasoning and the challenges. Officer time, costs involved with the LGR, and then there's still an election to run. But the point is, what we're seeing is a democratic deficit. If we don't have elections this year, bearing in mind there were none last year, because we had, on the thirds principle, excuse me, I'm losing my voice, on the thirds there was a fallow year. Because we didn't have elections last year, I do think that it has to go ahead. We must have elections this year unless the government are hiding behind a fear of the outcome. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Next speaker, Councillor Ellis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On the 12th of January, the Cabinet, in a public meeting, debated this issue, and we also heard representations from people. It is important to understand the sheer amount of work local government reorganisation is going to put on top of us. Within my portfolio, there's a huge amount of things that need to change around waste collection, open spaces, fly tipping, litter clearance, active travel, highways maintenance, road safety, gully and drain, street cleansing, climate action, bridges, pavements and paths. But that's just my little portfolio of environment and transport. All the other portfolios, the huge amount of work on education, the huge amount of work on adult social care, the huge amount of work on children's services. We really do need the extra resource of not having elections this year. We're only talking about 1 year and a third of the council. And we're looking in 2027 when there is a new council having a stand-down election. So it really wouldn't be very long at all. Also, we would be saving money without having to spend it on the cost of the elections. And the other thing, the amounts of extra work that has to be done by officers when an election is going, where we really do need them to be doing that work on the local government reorganisation, is a huge amount of work. And it is, I have to say, something which we've thought about very, very deeply, and it's very important that we do this extra work to make sure local government reorganisation works properly, and hence why we are put forward the view to government that we do not think that the elections should go ahead this year and they should be postponed.
Thank you. I'll give you one final warning. If I hear any more noise like that, I'm sorry, but you'll have to leave. Thank you. Right, next one is Councillor. Sorry. Who was it?
Members, the Mayor is content that the matter in the public gallery has been dealt with and she's happy to proceed. But that really is the very final warning in terms of anyone in the public gallery. Should there be a further disturbance, it has been decided that the public gallery will be emptied in its entirety. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ahmed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you to my leader, Councillor Wayne Fitzgerald, for bringing this very important motion before the Council. Members, this motion is simply to defend local democracy. The May's 2026 elections should take place, and this Council should make this position clear to the government. I urge all members to support this motion. The residents want an election. The residents, especially of my ward, want an election. And to be assured, the Labour Party's got nothing to be worried about in my ward. It's the Greens I'm going after this election. Thank you.
Sorry, point.
I'm all right, mate.
Do you have a point?
I'm all right.
No. We'll carry on. The next speaker is Councillor Anne Shahid.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Firstly, I'd like to refer to Councillor Fitzgerald's remarks in his leader speech when he asked the question, I think, of who'd be a councillor. And actually, I think if I was a member of the public watching this on the live stream and watching some of the lack of respect, the personal tones used, the showmanship, I'd perhaps be asking that question too. I think he also said about, decisions being made that aren't necessarily popular and how the leader of the council and the administration would perhaps get to know that. And in fact, we can see that this isn't a popular decision. Not all members may agree. Indeed, not all members of the public may agree. In fact, I think myself and fellow ward councillors have spoken to quite a few members of the public, and there are people, believe it or not, who can see why this decision might have been made. But anyway, going back to the fact of making this decision, as the monitoring officer pointed out, it is an executive decision, and the executive have taken that decision. And I would like to think that the executive have taken that decision, taking into account what they think are in the best interests of the residents of this city. And I see nothing that tells me otherwise, which is why I will not be supporting this motion.
Thank you. Next speaker, Councillor John Howard.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. The choice to postpone the May 2026 elections was taken by the Labour-led Cabinet, and it's a Cabinet enabled by members of Peterborough First and the Liberal Democrats. And I just truly believe that when the residents of our city do get to vote, be that this year, next year, the year after, they will remember those who acted and enabled this block of a democratic right to vote. And it gets worse. The leader of our group, Councillor Fitzgerald, proposed the administration running a poll of all elected members to truly test out the support for cancelling elections. Was this taken up? No. Another democratic denial from the administration that has an open door and is always transparent and listening. If they really are transparent, where was this member's vote? If they really are listening, who are they listening to? Is it the Labour MPs? Is it just themselves? Either way, it's a serious misstep, and here we are, pushing for a vote of all elected members of the council.
Councillor Ali, do you have a point?
I'm quite sure, John, you didn't do a poll. Wasn't it technically done wrong? I mean, I'm sure that you've done a poll and it didn't really work. I think I did it about 26 times. I think you got about 80 odd responses to it.
Councillor
I'm just saying. Oh, yeah.
The leader of the council did not do the poll. They refused to do the poll, which is why we're here now.
You decided to do a poll, and you got the results of it because you were unable to do it properly. So if you're going to do something, do it properly. I'm just saying.
Are you going to take up all my
Councillor
time, or are
Ali,
you going to
you've
stop
made
now?
your statement of accuracy. Let's move on and continue to hear from Councillor Howard, please.
Thank you. Now pushing for a vote of all elected members of the council to see where members all stand on this important issue and who really does support this outside of the Cabinet. Members should make their vote count so that the public can understand what everyone's stance is. There is nowhere to hide. The vote will tell. Cabinet members have forgotten that they aren't employed. There is no contract of employment. Their contract is with the public, and their appraisal is the public being able to vote. They are talking like it's their right to stay in a position unelected for stability, because the council has a lot of work to do, because there are a lot of challenges to deal with, or just because they think they're great at what they do. You cannot operate in a self-appraisal. So I say to this administration, back yourself. If you truly are doing a wonderful job, and we see and hear it a lot, then put yourself to the vote. I can't...
Councillor Jamil? No. Oh, sorry.
I can't comprehend elected members talking like they have the right to decide their own terms. This is not how our nation operates. We are a democratic nation. Thankfully, there is a case in the High Court. Thankfully, there is a case in the High Court which is challenging the government's right to accept the postponement, cancellation of local elections across the country. And can you hear those knees knocking? Perhaps democracy will be saved. And if it is, the public can hold those accountable who tried to block our right to vote. Does this administration have the confidence to go to the public? Yes, things can change in local politics, but this is the point. Let the public be our judge, jury and executioner, as this is what we all signed up for, and any member who would rather have a contract of employment rather than face the electorate, apply for a job as an officer, join civil service. Let's now have a vote that at least all members can take part in, and I truly hope the public also get their chance to vote soon too. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Next speaker, Councillor Imtiaz Ali.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. I was first notified of the potential to cancel elections at the group leaders in December, which I attended in place of our leader who was unavailable. It was on the same day that Toyota Hoxha was in a 45th day of hunger strike, and I was trying to rally support for help for her from all members. So I was firing off a number of emails, and I was very grateful for the support that I received. So this didn't necessarily get headline attention with me immediately, but when asked, my immediate response was the Greens would not support any cancellation of elections. The reasons for that are numerous. We're a small party. We rely on donations from our members. We rely on councillor subs. We were also actually very, very well advanced in terms of our campaigning locally. We had candidates in place for a number of wards, in particular an excellent candidate in Ravensthorpe ward who had actually been out to Westwood and Ravensthorpe and replaced a number of street plates and identified bins that had been left out and picked up on a broken zip line, which we have to congratulate him for. So coming into this meeting and seeing this motion, automatically we're going to support the motion because we of course don't want the elections to be cancelled. I think we're in really, really good footing. We see the national polls. We see, and I said this to group leaders as well, I don't think the polling for Labour nationally reflects the quality that we've got locally. I believe the quality we have locally is a very high standard. I'm very impressed with the coalition, with the administration, and I think they're doing a really good job. I want that to be recognised. But I can see why the government would want to postpone local elections, because what it will be is it will be carnage up and down the country. It will be an absolute bloodbath for Labour, and that puts the Prime Minister's position in a very difficult situation. So I can see that. But I mean, we came to this meeting and my colleague, Councillor Day, made some really valid points, and absolutely, yes, Greens are very, very keen to vote for this motion. But the longer this debate goes on, and certainly the actions of, my colleagues, who I'm actually, frankly, embarrassed to see some of the level of debate. Absolutely bring emotion. Absolutely get a head count of who would vote against and who would vote for, but using the motion as an opportunity to just score political points for what is essentially a political stunt, which we are forced to vote for because this is what we believe, I think is quite embarrassing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Councillor Harper.
Can I just clarify? I've got 3 minutes. Yeah, yeah. Cut me off if I start a coughing fit. Can I just say firstly, just a little preamble, Madam Mayor, that I am disappointed with the level of debate, as has already been mentioned. Clearly, this is a political motion, but the actual content is something that I'm very interested in and I'm looking to support. But I don't want to get involved in what I believe is the real reason behind the motion. The Prime Minister himself, whilst being interviewed last Sunday on the 4th of January, said candidates must earn their place. So one has to wonder why then this government will be offering councils the opportunity to submit a request to postpone elections. And by doing so, approximately 1/3 of our councillors and the next administration, however it is set up, would have no mandate to govern, make decisions or indeed submit a budget for approval in 2027. I watched the latest extraordinary Cabinet member meeting 3 times so as I could listen very carefully to the questions and those comments and the decisions that were made. And I must admit, from the point of view of the Cabinet members, I think they did very well and represented themselves very well. If you were to tell anybody that their workload was going to increase substantially, and in order to help with that, you'd give some of their work to others to free up some time, you'd accept it. Of course you would. However, if you said their workload was increasing but there was no additional support, I think we'd all agree this is a capacity problem and you would not be able to cope. This is an understandable position. So that's an understandable position that's been taken by this administration if you base it on capacity. But why did the government not offer that resource and that money to cover that capacity problem? The previous government were awful, no doubt about that. They caused huge damage to our city and country, but many, including myself, have now come to the conclusion that we now have the most incompetent and disliked government in our lifetime. And it's clear with the surge in popularity of alternative parties, including independents, that now present themselves on the vote slip, that panic has set in, and they know they are likely to see major losses should the local elections actually take place. The cynic in me, and for many of the electorate, is that this government has recognised there's a huge threat to their future existence, and are using the LGR as a way out and a reason to offer councils the possibility of them requesting postponement, knowing that should any choose to do so, as has happened, this would be very unpopular with the electorate, but then also would give them the excuse to say, well, the council asked for it. The Electoral Commission has said, as a matter of principle, we do not think capacity constraints are a legitimate reason for delaying long-planned elections. Extending existing mandates risks affecting the legitimacy of local decision-making and damages public confidence. The late Tony Benn, the renowned Labour MP for over 47 years, developed 5 questions that should be asked when considering democracy. What power have you got?
Councillor Harper, can you sum up, please?
I've only got one paragraph, is that right?
Okay.
Where did you get it from? In whose interest do you exercise it? To whom are you accountable? And how can I get rid of you? If you cannot get rid of people who govern you, you are not in a democratic system. Madam Mayor, during my previous campaign, I promised residents in my ward and my city I would always put people before politics. If this government decide to postpone this election, it is just confirmed that it puts politics before people. And for this reason, it is vital that the feelings of all councillors are known, not just from the administration, but from all councillors when they make that decision. For this reason, and sticking to my principles and upholding my promise, I support the motion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
The next, Katie Cole. Councillor Cole, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This has been a very difficult issue for me. It's a head and a heart matter. But in my current seat as Cabinet Member for Children's Services, I have in my heart the 56,000 children in this city. We are entering one of the most demanding periods that this service in this council has faced in many years. We know an ILACS inspection is expected soon. We anticipate a SEND inspection, and we also will face a youth justice inspection. Each of these requires intense preparation, stability, and full attention of our senior leaders and frontline teams. Postponing these elections will protect the capacity we urgently need to prepare thoroughly and ensure that children in this city receive the highest standard of support and safeguarding. At the same time, we are beginning to see the results of sustained work across our education system. Results that directly...
Excuse me, Councillor Cole. What have you got?
Sorry, just as a point of a point. Katie Cole is employed by Andrew Pakes, the MP, so should she be talking on this matter? Can we just clarify for the public?
I would not say that that is a valid point of order. Councillor Cole.
Thank you. Yes, I do work for Andrew Pakes. My declaration of interest was published on the council website and handed into Democratic Services from the 3rd of September. I started working for Andrew on the 1st of September last year. Here is the proof. I have also sustained a period of a 2-week harassment and bullying from Mr. Rafiq over there, and I am not happy with it. He is showing harassment, he is showing sexism, not just towards me, he's shown it to other female councillors.
Councillor Cole, I think we need to limit your comments, please, to the motion that has been put. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I keep going?
Please carry on.
Thank you. At the same time, we are beginning to see results of sustained work across our education system, results that directly shape children's life chances. A decade ago, only 43% of pupils in Peterborough met the expected standard in reading, writing and maths. Today, this figure has risen past 61%. This progress reflects the dedication of teachers, school leaders, the wider community and our own education team. Protecting the stability within children's services has enabled this improvement is essential if we wish to continue raising standards for the children in this city. Children's Services is also undergoing major reform through Families First. These changes require constant leadership and uninterrupted focus from the directors. An election at this moment risks slowing down and destabilising the work at the precise time we need clarity and continuity. I want to be clear that my position is not shaped by personal political considerations. I am not up for election this year. My support for postponement is based solely on what I believe is in the best interests of the children and families I serve. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Skipstead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We've made our position clear from the Green Group, and I also spoke at Cabinet last week. I also clearly believe that elections should go ahead. But I also know that a Conservative-led council quite possibly would have done the same thing. And indeed, up and down the country, there are Conservative-led councils that are postponing elections. But I have two questions, and I don't know if I'm allowed to ask them, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'd like to know how is it that it became a cabinet decision when in other areas it was full council, because it does seem it's not as democratic as it could be, given that we're 58 councillors. And secondly, when we do go to the vote, will members who are up for election this year be part of the vote as they have a vested interest? Thank you.
Okay.
Councillor Stibstead, I think I'm going to take that last point as a point of order in terms of querying around members' ability to vote, if that's all right. I have spoken to members that have raised concerns around the issue around their ability to vote. I am content that they are able to participate in it as it's an indicative vote. The formal decision has already been taken and implemented. This is akin to the indicative vote, I suppose, that took place in this chamber in relation to LGR that did not form the formal council response on that matter. It's a matter of law that this is an executive decision. It's to set out in statute the role of this chamber. We are content, and I am content rather, that it is a matter for the executive as set out in my opening remarks. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Next, Councillor Jamil.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Much of what I wanted to say has already been said. I thought long and hard about the meeting last week at the Cabinet as to which way we go. But I just think that what people do not consider in terms of us postponing the elections is the sheer workload that has to be done. The other councils that people have mentioned, local ones, do not have the children's services levels, do not have adult social care in the same way. And the preparation just for those, let alone the budget, is such that we will need to put extra time and resources to make sure when we do go into LGR that we are on a level playing field. My own area, the budget, is another one where we need to make sure that we are, in terms of our council tax, in terms of our reserves, are at a level where we can meet whatever challenges the government say we need to meet in terms of who we're going to go with, whether we're going to go alone. So in terms of that, I agree that some of the debate today, as Councillor Imtiaz has said, it's not been an accurate portrayal. Now, I have also had people, residents ring me up, who actually think the administration are doing a good job and want that good job to carry on and do not want us to have those elections this year, but rather have all-out elections next year. And a part of me also thinks I'm actually doing the Conservatives a favour by postponing these elections, because if you think we're unpopular, I don't think that they're that more popular than we are. So in that sense, well, I don't know, with your MPs going the way they are, I don't think you're going to have many left at the end of it. But I would say I am going to be voting against this motion.
Thank you. Councillor Rush.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. We are now in a period of pre-election period, PERDA, and it states in the guidance that council venues should not be used for political purposes, and council officers, the chief executive is mentioned in this motion, should not engage in an area that might be considered controversial. So could the legal officer explain why this motion was allowed to come before this council?
Thank you, Councillor Rush. Again, I'll take this as a point of order under the Constitution. As I explained to you prior to this meeting, this motion, if passed, would be the view of full council and not of a particular politician or political party. As such, I am content that the motion is entirely within the bounds of the law and it's legitimate for this chamber to be considering it at this time. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Mahmood.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to be absolutely clear that my colleagues and I, we're ready for an election. I've said this before, and for me, I think this motion is quite clear. Some of our colleagues have already addressed this. It's all about political point scoring. So I won't be supporting this motion in any way. Thank you.
Councillor Zamir Ali.
Through you. The hypocrisy of our Conservative colleagues is just astounding. When it actually came to LGR and actually doing the vote for it, they actually chose not to vote. I mean, where was democracy then? It is a joke. What? Well, it was a joke. So I'm sorry, but it's true. You decided that you wanted to take an option that wasn't even there. You threw...
All right, point of order.
Point of order. Councillor Fitzgerald.
How is this relevant to the motion before us?
Because we're talking about LGR.
We're not talking about LGR.
Thank you. Talking about hypocrisy again, I mean, Conservative-led councils, East Sussex County Council, Harlow District Council, we've got West Sussex as well, the Greens, I'll come to them as well in a moment, Hastings Borough Council, and when it comes to the independents, they have decided to actually do this as well. So LGR is a significant change in the way we govern local councils. Let's make that very clear. And a lot of these councils that are doing it are anchor councils, just to make that very clear. And what that means is they have statutory responsibilities through adult social care and children's services as well. And I mean, like I said, this is not new. I mean, I can give you examples of since 2020, we had 33 councils that were postponed due to reorganisation. We had Richie Sunak. We even had Robert Jenrick postpone elections in Cumbria, in North Yorkshire,
Excuse me,
Somerset.
Councillor Fitzgerald, you have a point.
I do, not wishing to prolong the debate much than needed. We have Alex, they have Zamir, if that makes any sense. But the point is, none of this is relevant, really, to what we're talking about tonight. And I'm trying to bring A for the members of the public and everybody else. Can we move on, please?
Councillor Fitzgerald, I agree in terms of the point of order here. The matter is to the motion that's been put. The motion does relate to LGR, but in so much as the capacity issues faced by the council as a result of it. So if Councillor Ali could limit his comments to that.
I'll just add that I will not be supporting this motion. And if people want to vote for this motion, I mean, just take into consideration, it's the Conservatives that are bringing it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mohammed Farouk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. Most of the points have been covered, some very unpleasantly, some pretty well. But I just want to talk a little bit about myself. When I stood for council elections 8 years ago, I put my name forward, Madam Mayor, to deliver services to our vulnerable residents and those who need it the most. And I said I want to deliver best value for money for our taxpayers. And for every day during my tenure, I tried doing that. And we have also taken these same values to coalition. No party politics, just trying to deliver best services, as my colleague Councillor Cole says, to our residents, our children's services, our adult social care, and not only providing the best value for money for the future policies, but also recovering losses where errors have been made by previous administration. That you were in. Yeah. You were in. As far as I could name a number of ones where I wasn't in, and you were the prime leader of that. Yeah. Yeah. But I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go to your level. We are not. I want to emphasize we're not afraid to go to electorate. If they elect me or elect us, we will do our best to deliver those values, those promises we make. In fact, it was Councillor Fitzgerald who earlier mentioned that hardly anybody would like to be a councillor or would put themselves forward to it. And people who do, we must respect them and do that. And if those people choose that we're not doing that great job, then you know what? We're happy to support the next person who will do that. On this occasion, we are going to have an all-out elections next year. I see the values on the both sides. I see the democracy on one side and having those elections now and not changing them. And I equally see the cost savings which it will deliver to this city council. But as far as this motion is concerned, this is absolutely nothing to do with the cancellation or postponement of elections. This is simply a political gimmick, and I will not be supporting a political gimmick motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sandra Bond.
Thank you, Mrs. Mayor, and through you, Mrs. Mayor. I've heard a lot this evening about residents' views. Over the last 2 weeks, I have been out visiting our residents, as Anne and Andrew has. We have been speaking to those residents who are not on Facebook, who are not on platforms like X or Twitter. We've been talking to the elderly residents, the residents that we meet at our community centres. Now, everyone here is talking about those residents that you are representing. What about those representing them. Have you asked them? Have you been and spoken to them in their community centres? Because most of the residents I've spoken to over the last 2 weeks didn't even know this was happening. They didn't even know why it was happening. I had to sit down and I spoke to my residents as clear as I could, explaining everything that I could possibly do. Yes, we should have had consultations because that was one of the things our residents said to me personally. We should have had consultations, but we didn't have time. This has just been thrown in our laps and we're having to deal with it. Now, I would like to know, how are we going to represent those residents that don't see these horrible, nasty comments on Facebook? I haven't taken any notice to these comments. I haven't reacted to them. I haven't made comments, but I have seen some horrible, nasty comments about some of these some councillors that are here that are trying to do the best they can. And I am not a political. I am under the Liberal Democrat umbrella because I'm closest to their policies. It's what I believe in. But I go out into my community as a councillor, serving everyone, whether you are Labour, Liberal Democrats, Conservative, Green, even Reform I speak to, Reform members. And I think I'm absolutely disgusted with what is going on tonight. And I think our residents, if they are watching this, which I doubt most of my residents are not, our residents are not, because they're not on Facebook. Have you asked them? And I would like to see also how many people have you spoken to? Have you only spoken to them on these media platforms? Have you been out knocking on doors? Have you sent letters out to them? Because I don't think you have. I think all you've done is gone onto Facebook, onto Twitter, onto, I would say, Warrington South Next Door group, and made all these comments.
Can you sum up, please?
Yes, I can, okay? So I will not be supporting this
Excuse
motion.
me, Councillor Rafiq, what point of... what?
Yeah, sorry, in my opinion, I believe Sandra Bond's referring to Councillor Sandra Bond is referring to myself. I'll put it on public record. I'm one of the most active councillors in this city, and I get many residents contact me. And I've had loads of residents that I've spoke to in my community centres. I'm always out and about, and everybody's against this being
Councillor
cancelled.
Rafiq,
Everybody's against this being cancelled.
Councillor Rafiq,
I've
that's
just put that
not a
out
point
there.
of order, nor is it a statement of accuracy. You've already spoken on this motion. Would you please refrain from
Yes,
speaking further?
could I just finish, please?
Thank you. Just
Can I just finish, okay? It's not just on a certain councillor's posts. It's on a few councillors' posts that I've seen. And some of the comments that come back, that they want to put us on a horse bareback, naked, and send us through the village if we vote against this motion, that is absolutely disgusting. And these
Councillor Bond, you are over your time.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you very much, Mrs. Mayor. I will not be supporting this motion because of that reason. Thank you.
Councillor John Fox.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I just point out some facts? Just over 2/3 of the local authorities, I believe, hold their local elections just once in every 4 years. So basically, you only get one chance to change things politically in 4 years. Just under 1/3, like Peterborough, have 3 elections in 4 years in the same period. And a third of the councils have to stand before the community to be re-elected. So basically, you have 3 chances to change the political balance within 4 years. So you might think the all-out elections in 4 years is a better system. This May's election, I've been told, if it goes ahead, will cost in the region of, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the person who told me I 100% trust, would be over £300,000, which is just for this one election. 3 elections in 4 years, but still, the sad reality to this is that we only get roughly a third of the electorate to turn out at local elections, thereby choosing their own reasons to deny their own democratic right to vote. What is needed in this council at the moment is stability. So when the LGA elections take place, which we fully realise that it could be an all-out election every 4 years. So on that grounds, I just can't support it.
Thank you. Councillor Shabir-Khan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think I'm going to stand up now, to address both the public and the members here that have come here to respect decent debate within our chamber. One thing that probably members and also with respect to the public that you don't know is that we have a member here who is currently undergoing chemotherapy, and I've lost 2 of my councillors within the space of a week. Having a look at the level of mockery, nasty commenting online, like Councillor Sandra Bond has said, is quite frankly shameful and embarrassing, and no elected member deserves that. I really do respect all of the points of those political groups and those members that have said that they are going to support the motion from all other parties apart from my colleagues in the Conservative Party, because quite frankly, they have really dealt some low blows tonight. And my colleague here, Mr. Sabir, has undergone and is currently undergoing chemotherapy for cancer, and he sits here because he wants to support this respectful debate, and I want to apologise to him that he has had to sit through this and watch all of that. So I'd really like to request that we have some respectful debate. And if people need to heckle and insult me. Here I stand here today. Please insult me, heckle me, boo me as much as you want, because you know what? The letter was sent to me. I chose to debate this at cabinet level, and they put forward simply a view for postponement. And as leader of Peterborough City Council, I take responsibility, not for my own group, but for the whole chamber here. And it upsets me deeply when anybody feels that they are subject to abusive behaviour, whether that be in person or online. And many of our female councillors here have felt intimidated, threatened, their children have been shouted at because of Councillor Rafiq's behaviour online. And I can take it. So I'm quite happy for him to name me, because the buck stops with me. And I'm declaring that in public today. Now, I'm going to put out some evidence with reference to this. In his sum up, I asked Councillor Fitzgerald one question with relevance to capacity in LGR. And that is, and I want every councillor to think about this, please. We're having respectful debate. If we go through with elections in 2026, which is not my decision, by the way, it's the Secretary of State's, I want Councillor Fitzgerald and the Conservative Party to evidence to me that that is good value for money. Good value for money. That is the question that I want to ask him. Now, we talk about democracy. I go by evidence, so I've done my research. We're spending £303,000 on the 2026 May elections that, yes, would have been the normal state of play had we not had local government reform. And quite rightly, Councillor Sandra Bond says that people don't know about local government reform. Let me give it to you.
Excuse me, Councillor Khan,
Yes.
It's gone three minutes. Could you sum up?
Yes, I will,
Thank you.
most certainly.
Thank you.
We are breaking down. Peterborough City Council won't exist. Your taxpayers' money is going to go and elect, if we go through with these elections, to elect a temporary set of councillors who won't be able to make any significant decision for your city, and what we can't compromise on is safeguarding and life and death services. All of those things that we get fingers pointed to
Councillor
us
Khan.
when people are suffering. So I'm not going to be voting against this motion because it is political, it's based on low blows. Thank you.
Thank you. All the speakers? No more speakers? Councillor Fitzgerald, would you like to sum up on this motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't know where to begin, but ladies and gentlemen, you've heard every excuse under the sun from the Labour Party and the Labour government to postpone and cancel these elections. I find myself agreeing with the Greens, not because I support their policies, but they smell blood. They smell seats. They smell seats that they're going to win at the elections. The Liberals, you've heard from them. Councillor Hogg's up for election. He's no chance. He's toast, either from the Conservatives or presumably Reform, one or the other. But don't heed my Take Graham Stringer, the veteran Labour MP for Blakely and Middleton, recently speaking in the Daily Telegraph. As the former leader of a major council and Labour MP, I found this completely embarrassing. A Labour government should not be taking the vote away from 3.7 million people. It's completely unprecedented for a Labour government to do that. There is clearly a vested interest from some councillors who may feel, looking at opinion polls, they may lose their seat. Imtiaz Ali, carnage. That's what it will actually be. Some of these councillors will vote for delays. How will she, the Secretary of State, distinguish between that motivation and whether there really is a lack of capacity to carry out the elections? Because I don't believe any of those councils are unable to hold these elections. That's what we say. It is running scared of the electorate. Now, I get, the first person I spoke to was Councillor Sabir tonight to ask after his welfare, because we're all human. And it doesn't matter about the politics. But look, this is political. This is about the view of councillors, whether they agree with the government's position or whether they don't. The legal officer says nothing can be done. It can be done. The leader of this council can rescind or withdraw the letter to the minister to go ahead with elections. That's what the public should demand of the leader of this council. Withdraw that letter and let those elections go ahead. This Labour administration is 13 councillors out of 60, propped up by Councillor Farouk here, who himself was in 2 previous administrations that they're now calling out for making bad decisions. You can't make a point unless it's something I've said that's mistaken. Please pause the clock.
Councillor Cahan.
Can we ask him to stick to the content of his motion, please? Thank you.
This is my summing up of the motion and what we should do. And I'm telling you, you can withdraw that letter to government and let the elections go ahead. So it's not something that cannot be done. I'm sorry, you are wrong with that. So it's a majority of this view of council tonight. Let's get the real view of council, what elected members actually think, because we listen to the public. The Labour Party will do anything to avoid elections on a national scale, because they, in my words, are going to get spanked at the ballot box. They won't even win a booby prize, let alone a seat in this council, if the election was tomorrow. And I think I'm right on that. So we'll see. Now, the point is, you have a view, and we have a view, and I think more people... Look, look, if the Conservatives lost elections, then they deserve to lose. And it's the same in Essex or anywhere else. But face the public. Do not hide from the public and let the people...
Fitzgerald,
I've finished, Madam Mayor.
Yeah, if you sum up, no.
Do not hide from the public. And there will be a vote now on whether you agree to postpone the or support the elections or postpone the elections. That's what basically it is. And I'm sure the service team over there, the Democratic Services, will explain. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Very good debate. I'm going to ask, is this motion agreed, or shall we now move to the vote? I had to say it.
Councillor Howard.
Councillor Howard.
Madam Mayor, could I ask for a recorded vote, please?
Have you got the numbers? Can you? Oh, sorry. Have you got a seconder? Have you got a seconder? Seconder? Who seconded? Oh, there's loads of them. Rafiq, yeah. Okay.
Rachel, would you explain what that means, because some people won't know?
25%. Oh, sorry, I haven't got my microphone on. Needs to be 12 members to get a recorded vote. Oh.
11, 12.
Oh, yeah, we've got it. Okay, thank you.
By the way, they were trying to deny that as well.
Thank you. I will now hand over to Rachel to manage the vote.
Okay, members, we are now voting on the recommendation in relation to the motion of Councillor Fitzgerald on whether members do not support the postponement of local elections in Peterborough. Okay, I will call your name out. It is for, against or abstain. Okay.
Councillor Hogg?
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, but this motion is proposing a letter be sent. As far as I'm concerned, there should be no letter. If there is a letter being sent, we should then decide whether or not it should be saying that we are for it or against it. This is what the motion is saying. It's not my fault
that the Conservatives did not write their motion correctly.
Councillor Fox.
I think Councillor Fox got a very good point, because it was, are you for or against local elections in May? I might vote different. This is about sending a letter, and I don't see any point of sending a letter.
Councillor Sakib.
Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
So I'm going to address the point, and hopefully it will address some of the points of order. The motion is that members request the Chief Executive send a letter to the Minister making her aware that our members do not support any decision by government to postpone the May 2026 local elections, and that letter should set out the results of the vote on the motion and be sent the day after this meeting. So the motion is to send a letter expressing that members are not in support. That is the motion. So members that vote yes, for rather, would be in favour of sending the letter, and against not sending the letter. Thank you.
Sakib. Okay. Councillor Fox.
Can we make this clear then, that we're just voting about the letter, because it's two different separate things, and I think people are missing that.
Sorry, it is one motion. The motion is whether or not a letter should be sent stating that there is not support for the postponement of the local elections.
May I just seek clarification? So, if you vote for or you're against, the result of the vote, whether it's for or against, will be communicated. So, if there are more people vote against, that's my understanding.
Sorry, the motion is as written in everybody's agenda paper, and I trust that members can read that and come to a view on what it means. But I will clarify one more time. Should members vote for, then a letter would be sent setting out that members of this chamber, of this council, do not support or would not support. Should it be against, then no letter would be sent.
Understood, but we'll still send a letter.
Okay, members, is everybody clear? Okay, right, I'm going to start reading names. Councillor Ahmed.
For.
Councillor Imtiaz Ali.
Reluctantly for.
Councillor Zamir Ali.
Certainly against.
Councillor Allen.
Certainly for.
Councillor Antunes.
For.
Councillor Ayres. For. Councillor Barkham.
For.
Councillor B.
Against.
Councillor Andrew Bond.
Against.
Councillor Sandra Bond.
Definitely against, Rachel, thank you.
Councillor Boyce.
Against, Rachel.
Councillor Sereste. Councillor Cole.
Against.
Councillor Day.
For.
Councillor Ellis.
Against.
Councillor Farid.
For.
Councillor Mohammed Farouk.
Against.
Councillor Sakib Farouk.
Against sending a letter.
Councillor Fitzgerald.
Most definitely for. And people take note who's voting which way.
Councillor Judy Fox.
Against.
Councillor John Fox.
Against.
Councillor Geraghty.
Against.
Councillor Harper.
For.
Councillor Hemraj.
Against.
Councillor Peter Hiller.
Against.
Right, bear with, I've just got to turn my page. Councillor Sarah Hillier.
Against.
Councillor Hogg.
Against.
Councillor Howard.
Absolutely for.
Councillor Jamil.
Most definitely against.
Councillor Alison Jones.
Against.
Councillor Dennis Jones.
Against.
Councillor Khan,
For.
Councillor Mahmood,
Against.
Councillor Ormston,
For.
Councillor Perkins, Councillor Kayoum,
Against.
Councillor Rafiq,
1,000,000% for.
Councillor Rush,
Abstain.
Councillor Sabia,
Against.
against. Councillor Seeger,
Against.
Councillor Ann Shahid,
For the reason I stated earlier, against.
Councillor Asif Shahid,
Against, please, Rachel.
Councillor Skibstead,
For.
Councillor Stevenson,
Abstain.
Councillor Strangward,
Against.
Councillor Ty,
Against.
Councillor Warren,
For.
and Councillor Wiggin.
Against.
I'm just going to check with my. Thank you, members. I'll read the results. We have 18 in favour, 28 against, and 2 abstentions. Therefore, that is defeated. Thank you.
Excuse me, everybody. Does anybody want a break? We've got 2 things left on the agenda.
Yes, please.
You want a break? Oh, sorry. Point of order. Sorry.
Sorry, just a point of order before everyone wants to disappear for the legal officer.
Excuse me. We've got somebody who's got a point of order. We want to listen to it. Thank you.
Sorry, it's just a point of order for the legal team. It was stated many times the decision and the letter has already been made and sent. Who decides what motions are allowed and what comes in when it's clear there would have been no outcome to this that would have changed any official response? We wasted an hour and a half here on this, and it's not changed any outcome.
Thank you. In response to that point of order, it was made clear to members at the outset that this was an opportunity for all members to debate the issue and to have an indicative vote. When a motion is submitted, it is the monitoring officer on the Mayor's discretion as to accept it. It was accepted as being a lawful motion.
Right, there's a few gone, so we'll have just 5-10 minutes. Yeah, just a break. Please be seated. Right. Everybody back? We are now moving to the reports to Council. Agenda item 13, appointment of the monitoring officer and interim arrangements. Councillor Mohammed Jamil, would you like to move this recommendation?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I certainly would. In accordance with Section 5 of the Local Government and Housing Act 1989, the Council must designate one of their officers to be the monitoring officer in order to have responsibility for the proper administration of its governance affairs. All matters relating to the appointment of a monitoring officer are reserved to the full Council. The duties relating to the monitoring officer currently fall under the remit of the post of Director of Legal Governance. Graham Kitchen, the Council's current monitoring officer, will leave the Council on 25th of January 2026. He's done a brilliant job and it's going to be a hard act to follow, I'd say. However, Gavin Milnthorpe has been appointed as the Council's new Director of Legal and Governance by the Employment Committee. Gavin is an experienced solicitor with over 10 years in senior leadership roles within local government. Until Gavin's appointment commences with the authority, it is proposed that Satbinder Sahota should act as the Council's monitoring officer. Satbinder himself is the current interim head of legal services and deputy monitoring officer and a qualified solicitor with 25 years experience, including serving as a monitoring officer for unitary and district councils, a combined authority and the second largest metropolitan fire and rescue service. This report is therefore presented to you following recommendation and request that you formally appoint Satbinder Sahota to undertake these monitoring officer duties from 26th of January 2026 until Gavin Milthorpe's employment with the Council commences, whereupon he would become the Council's monitoring officer. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Shabina Kayam, will you second the motion and either speak now or reserve your right to speak later in the debate?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I reserve my right to speak, and it's a good move.
Sorry, thank you. Does any member wish to begin debate at all? Councillor Kayam, would you like to exercise your right to speak as seconder?
No, Madam Mayor, I think it's been a long evening. I'm content.
Thank you. Councillor Jamil, would you like to sum up?
Madam, once again, our gratitude and thanks to Graham for filling in since our previous legal officer left, and we look forward to the future now with our new monitoring officer.
Thank you. The recommendation proposed are that the Council, 1, approve the appointment of Gavin Milnthorpe as the Council's monitoring officer with effect from the date at which his employment with Peterborough City Council commences. Approve the appointment of Satbinder Sahota as the Council's monitoring officer effective from 26th of January 2026 until such time as Mr Milnthorpe's employment by Peterborough City Council commences. Are these agreed, or shall we now move to the vote? You've all agreed, so that's fine. Thank you. All right, item 14. Appointment to the Cambridgeshire and Peterborough Combined Authority Overview and Scrutiny Committee. Councillor Jamil, would you like to move the recommendation?
Thank you, Madam. I'll be as quick as I can. Members, the report before you is in respect of appointing a member of this authority to the Combined Authorities Overview and Scrutiny Committee for the remainder of the municipal year. On the 6th of January, the Combined Authority notified the Council that due to political changes at another constituent authority, its overall political balance had changed, and this resulted to changes in the seats allocated to the Council on the Combined Authorities Overview and Scrutiny Committee. The resulting change was that the seat previously allocated to Peterborough First Group had been reallocated to the Labour Group. Now, this report seeks Council's approval to appoint Councillor Zamir Ali to this committee for the remainder of this municipal year. The report also asks Council to delegate authority to the monitoring officer in conjunction with the Labour Group leader to appoint a named substitute to this committee for the same period, provided such an appointment accords with the political balance requirements of the combined authority. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Shabina Kayyem, would you second the motion and either speak now or reserve your right to speak later on in the debate?
I second the motion. I think it's a really good move, despite Councillor Fitzgerald wigging in my ear that God help them, which is ridiculous. I have absolute full faith that Councillor Zamir is going to exercise his duties in a very honourable manner. It's a good move. I do second it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Does any member wish to begin a debate? Councillor Harper?
Thank you. This is a question really for the legal officer. I have no problem at all with Councillor Zamir, and it's nothing to do with that. It's a case of I didn't think a cabinet member could serve on that committee for the combined authority. I didn't think it was allowed to be a cabinet member from any authority.
I am told from my colleagues in Democratic Services they checked this point with the relevant authority and that it is permitted.
Okay, I stand informed. Thank you very much.
Point, Councillor Member.
Yes, sorry, I just wanted to add that I had an email from the combined authority yesterday, actually, and it's just talking about various committees, and it does say, what does it say? Please be reminded that members of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee cannot sit on any of the authority's decision-making committees and therefore cannot be nominated as members or substitutes. That was an email from our combined authority. Okay.
Okay. So nobody else wants to debate? No, fine. Councillor Kayyem, did you want to speak anymore?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Councillor Jamil, would you like to sum up?
Madam, happy to, with the appointment of Councillor Ali.
Thank you. Right. The recommendations proposed are that Council 1 approves the appointment of Councillor Zamir Ali to the Cambridgeshire and Peterborough Combined Authority Overview and Scrutiny Committee for the remainder of the 2025-26 municipal year. Number 2, delegates authority to the Director of Legal and Governance and Monitoring Officer in consultation with the leader of the Labour Group to appoint a named substitute to the Cambridgeshire and Peterborough Combined Authority Overview and Scrutiny Committee for the remainder of the 2025-26 municipal year, provided that such an appointment accords with the political balance requirements of the combined authority. Are these agreed? You've all agreed them? Thank you. Thank you. That is the end of tonight's meeting. Have a safe journey home. Thank you, everybody.